Okay, let's talk about the one spot where students make the biggest mistake on their exams, and it's in understanding Richard Wright's book, 12 Million Black Voices. Today, we're going to make it crystal clear so you don't make that same mistake. First things first, it's absolutely crucial to understand that this book is not the story of a single person, not at all. It's the combined collective voice of 12 million black people living in America at that time. It's the story of their pain, their struggle, and their hopes, all rolled into one.
So, we've broken down this explainer into 5 simple parts to make everything easy to follow. We'll start with the author, then look at the book's main idea, its key themes, the writing style, and most importantly, what you really need to know for your exam.
All right, let's dive into Section 1, the author and his time. To understand any book, you've got to understand the world it came from.
So the author is Richard Wright. He was an African-American writer, and just think about this, his grandparents were slaves. He was largely self-educated, which is incredible. He wrote this book during the Great Depression, and Wright himself had to migrate north to escape the brutal racism and Jim Crow laws of the South. You can see all of that life experience reflected so clearly in this work.
Now, you might be wondering, why the title 12 million? It's actually pretty simple. Back then, in the 1940s, the black population in America was roughly 12 million. So Wright chose this title to represent the entire community, every single one of those people.
Let's move on to Section 2, the main idea of the book. This is really the heart of it all.
This book is a folk history. It's not a novel or a collection of stories. It's a social document. It chronicles the 300-year-long journey of Black Americans. It's the saga of what generations of people had to endure.
So, the most important thing to remember is this journey is shown in 3 distinct stages. First, slavery in the South. Then, after emancipation, came sharecropping, which was really just a new kind of slavery. And finally, when they moved to the cities in the North, they fell victim to urban exploitation.
And just look at these images. They show that great migration. On one side, you have the fields of the South where they were forced to work, and on the other, you see the crowds of people heading north, leaving everything behind in the hope of a better life. But their struggle didn't end there.
In the northern cities, places like Chicago, they didn't find true freedom. Instead, the form of exploitation just changed. They were forced to live in terrible, overcrowded ghettos and work in factories for low wages. Their hope was tested, but the fight continued.
Now for Section 3, important themes. This section is critical for your exam, so pay close attention.
The main themes of the book are racial oppression, persecution based on race. Collective identity, because this is a story of we, not I. Economic exploitation, social injustice, and through it all, their constant struggle for dignity.
Wright uses 2 very important terms that you need to know. The first is lords of the land. This refers to the white landowners and masters in the South who were getting rich by exploiting black people through slavery and sharecropping.
And the second term is bosses of the building. This one is for the northern cities. It refers to the urban landlords and factory owners. This makes it crystal clear that the oppressors changed, but the oppression itself did not.
All right, in Section 4, let's look at how Wright actually wrote this story. What was his writing style? This is probably the most unique and powerful thing about this book. Throughout the entire text, Wright never uses the word I. He uses we. This choice makes you feel like you're hearing the collective voice of an entire community, not just one person's personal story.
The genre of this book is protest literature. This means it's not just a story. It's a protest against social injustice. It raises serious questions about the system.
Its format is also really special. It's a photo documentary. What that means is, along with Wright's powerful words, you also have real photographs from the Farm Security Administration. These images make Wright's points even more vivid and impactful.
And now for the most important section, Section 5, special for the exam. This is where you'll get direct points that will make your answers stand out.
This is the exam trap. This is where students often mess up. Remember, this book is a social document. It is not a poem. It is protest literature. It is not Richard Wright's autobiography. And it is a collective history, not some romantic story. Make sure you remember this distinction.
If a question about this comes up on the exam, your answer must have these points. First, it's a folk history of Black Americans. Second, it uses the collective we voice to represent 12 million people. Third, it's a work of protest literature and a social photo documentary. And fourth, it exposes economic exploitation by both the lords of the land and the bosses of the building.
Okay, let's do a super fast, quick revision. Ready? 12 Million Black Voices is a social document by Richard Wright. With photos, it tells the 300-year story of black people in America, from slavery to urban exploitation. Its voice is we, not I, and it's a protest against racial and economic injustice. Simple.
And as we wrap up, here's a question for you to think about. This book is more than 80 years old, but do you think it can still teach us new ways to raise our voices against injustice in society today? It's definitely something worth considering.